And I am Kathy York, and I'm with Karen Estrin. Karen is my super duper wonderful webmaster, and she and I are doing these Zoom casts for you to get some of the tech stuff out there that sometimes people just don't know about, and it kind of helps you with your website. I'm all about website usability, ease of use for your customers, the people who are coming into your site. And we wanted to talk a little bit more today about lead capture, because your biggest business card, your most important business card, is your website. I don't care if you're on Facebook, out the wazoo, Instagram, whatever. If you want credibility, your website is where you're going to get that credibility. Sorry, it's just the way it is. Doesn't have to be fancy, but you need that website. I'm going to show you my resources page today. And keep in mind something we talked about last time. My navigation bar is going to follow me all the way down the page. And it's important for you to have that set up, because that way, let's say they get here and they go, oh yeah, this is great, I want to contact Kathy. Boom, it's right there. Don't make people scroll. Don't make them look anywhere to get your information. But this is my resources page. So it has a lot of stuff here. People can come in and get really good info. The Zoomcast is up front because we're having so much fun with it. I did do a guest podcast with Danielle Hamlet of the Discovery Call podcast, and I have a link to that here so they can see that. So by the time they get down to my website usability mini webinar, it's kind of like, they know a little bit about what I'm doing. You know, what is website usability? I explain it. And then here's this great webinar. I was asked to present at a conference in 2021, and this is a copy of that. I've cleaned it up so it's not, I've just redone it so it's a lot easier just for you to listen to it now. But what I've done is I've attached that to a subscription, and what the subscription is for is to get my my monthly not podcast, my monthly blog posts. And also in the subscribe, they get this webinar for free. They don't have to pay for it. So this is one place where I would do that lead capture. There's a link here. Now, Karen, we'll see if the site's working today.
Better be, but
I know
who can fix it if it doesn't. So that's a really great example of something that's valuable, that's a little different, right? Over the last several years, we've seen, a lot of this lead generation and lead capture, and everybody has a report or a white paper, and those types of things, I think people are just getting really kind of fatigued with, right? So the webinar, and it's also a great example of repurposing something that you did, right? In 2021, you spoke at this conference, and so you're able to take that and make it into a webinar and repurpose it as a lead capture for a broader audience. And I think that's a really good use of that. And Kathy and I have talked about other things that make good lead capture options, like mini workshops. I know Kathy's working on something now, I think, around mini workshops. Anything that's a downloadable, something of value. Ebooks, that's been a big one. Although, what I'm seeing a lot more of right now, Kathy, is people charging for an ebook. And, it's still a lead capture. Usually it's a pretty reasonable amount, small amount, maybe $5 or less. And there's a higher perception of value, for one thing, when you charge something for that. But there's also a certainty of connecting with a buyer, right? So from the business perspective, when you charge for a lead capture and someone sees the value in that and says, yes, I'm willing to pay for that, that there's someone who's serious about whatever it is your lead capture is about, right? Your topic and your area of expertise is about. So it's really gives you kind of a higher quality lead, or a qualified lead, self-qualified lead, right? Somebody that is signing up and saying, yes, I need to know more about website usability. And so then Kathy knows someone that subscribes here and downloads this webinar is serious about website usability. And that becomes a really highly qualified lead in her business. So that's really the value of lead captures. And so you want to give some thought to creating a valuable lead capture offering, so that you're getting valuable leads in exchange.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so drum roll, we're going to see. Now they come here and they can subscribe. Let's see if it's working today. Goes to my subscription page. Ta-da! There's my
Yeah.
subscribe page.
And so this is connected to your MailChimp account. Is that right?
It
Your
is.
email platform? Yeah.
It is. I was going to mention that because then MailChimp and don't get scared, everybody, because I'm a techie and I didn't even set up my MailChimp. I had Karen do all this, this. I mean, I could, but it would take me forever to figure out how to do it. I mean, I know the concepts, but she set it all up so everything links where it's supposed to link. And yeah, don't ever do your own website. Just
If you're not a
somebody
if you're not a
it.
techie, yeah, that's good advice. Rely on the experts, right?
Yeah. And then, right, and it tells them again. Now, remember, we talked on our first, started to call a podcast, our first Zoomcast, we talked about making sure everybody knows what's going on every page. Whenever they click, make sure they know immediately they're in the right place. Well, they know subscribe to receive business tips and to download my website usability webinar. And Karen, we need to talk about if I should say free. We may have already talked about that. But this is something I mentioned last time. And I tell them, I promise, no inbox stuffing, because isn't that something you worry about? I do. Or sharing your information. So then they send that. And then notice again, everything's coming down with it. Once they've done that, and I can't do that because I don't have an email address to send it to that I'm not already subscribed to, but it comes up with a message that says, hey, here's some more information. And we can get into that and talk about how you don't leave the person once they subscribe. They immediately need something from you. But then from here, they can go anywhere. They can go to my blog. They can go to the testimonials. Always make sure you have that testimonials page, because that can also solidify with that lead capture. If they're looking through here and saying, oh, I feel even more comfortable with Karen or Kathy or whomever. And that's very, very important to do those things. So I have when they subscribe, I have a checklist for them on my non-overwhelm. I have blog posts. You can come in and go to just non-overwhelm in the search and it'll bring those up. But I have a checklist when they subscribe about non-overwhelm, and also that webinar they get for free. I just don't mention the other, the checklist here on the page, but just make sure everybody can get wherever they need to get on your site, wherever they need to go.
So that's a great valuable lead capture as well. A checklist
right.
Offers good value, and people like those as well. And I'm glad you mentioned testimonials, and that's definitely a topic for future Zoomcast. That that's refers to social proof, right? And kind of the next step of engaging with visitors to your site is to drive that authority, and social proof does that, and testimonials provide that. So we'll talk about that in the future. So awesome. Thanks, Kathy.
Okay.